And we are going to start in everybody's favourite. We're going to start supine today, so you can all have a little lay down. So if you want to get yourselves into a nice comfortable position, laying down on your mat, your choice whether you're supported or not. So if you want to use a block or a cushion or anything underneath to make yourself comfortable, then do. Otherwise, lay in Shavasana or in Baddha Konasana, or maybe in constructed rest with your knees bent, maybe knocking together. But just give yourself a moment to really settle and ground into the mat. Linda, I can't see you. I don't know if that's deliberate or not. That's fine if you want to be private this morning.
Sorry, I'm trying to sort my tech out, Gabby. We'll be there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. So I will carry on talking. I'm going to carry on sitting here for a minute because it's just easier for me to talk while I'm sitting. So really starting to find a connection now as you ease your spine into the mat, letting your shoulder blades be really heavy. Let them get a sense that they're spreading. Emma, my lovely, can I ask you to mute your thingy?
Yeah, coming.
Super, thank you. As we lay here on our little oasis of calm on our yoga mat, where you will always find a bit of peace and tranquility, just starting to softly close the eyes and arriving within yourself this morning. So maybe you've had a busy morning already, perhaps you've been out for a run, perhaps you've had things to attend to, perhaps it's been a bit of a rush and a scramble to get here. But letting all of that go now, let's just bring ourselves to this present moment right here. Let's just check in with the brow and the eyelids and the jaw. Really relax the jaw. Let the teeth be parted here. Perhaps tucking the chin just a little to get some length in the cervical spine. Letting both shoulders yield to gravity, let them be really heavy. And the arms and forearms, let the palms upturn. And then thinking about the pelvis, the sacrum, the buttocks, just let there be a sense of heaviness and ease there. And then checking in with the thighs, the knees, the calves, the heels, the tops of the feet, the soles of the feet, and all 10 toes. So just lying here with the eyes gently closed, and see if you can visualize your mat. Visualize yourself laying on the mat in the room that you're in. And considering your entire body, just letting go everywhere that you encounter any tight spots or tension. Now let's bring our attention to the breath. So just noticing how the breath is this morning. And let's see if we can bring our awareness of the breath to the belly. So really letting the belly muscles be soft here. And tune into the rise and the fall of the abdomen as the diaphragm moves out of the way for the expanding lungs. So if your mind starts to wander, just bring it gently back to the breath, following the inhale and the exhale. Now let's move the attention to the ribs and the side body and see if you're aware of the movement of each and every intercostal muscle between the ribs. the expansion and the contraction. Now considering the movement of the ribs in the back body, where you're laying on your mat. Perhaps you're aware of the gentle rise and fall. Now shifting your awareness to the very tops of the lungs that sit just beneath the collarbones. Visualizing at the very top of your breath, maybe you need to deepen your inhale a little to appreciate this a little more thoroughly. Just see if you can get a sense of the very tops of the lungs. At the top of the inhale there. And now starting to think about the journey of the breath as we exhale. So the breath starts to leave from the collarbone region, and then the chest and the side body, and then the belly. So there's this constant ebb and flow of movement, of breath. And let's just take a moment to be the observer of the breath. So if you want to set an intention for your practice this morning, or a sankalpa, this is a great time to do it. A sankalpa is just a positive affirmation about what qualities you would like to nurture whilst practicing. Maybe you want to dedicate the energy that you create in your practice to somebody who might need that energy at the moment. If you chose to take your Shavasana on any kind of support, perhaps I could ask you to remove it now so that we are coming to lay with our spines completely flat on the mat. And bending into both knees, let's draw the left knee in towards the chest and start to trace big circles with the knee, using the entire length of the leg. So the knee comes in over the chest, comes out wide, and then goes away long. So we're starting to bring some movement into the hip joint this morning, just noticing how it feels. Nice small movements here. No need to rush. And then let's reverse the direction of that, noticing how it feels when we're going this way. So taking the leg away long, bringing it out wide to the side and then into the chest. Then the next time the knee comes into the chest, let's find some stillness here. And maybe holding around the shin, maybe just letting gravity hold the knee here. Just circling into the ankle of the left leg. Noticing how all those little bones in the feet feel today. And then back in the opposite direction. And then setting the left foot back onto the mat. Let's bring the right knee into the chest now. Just hold it here for a second, see how that feels. And then start to trace large circles with the knee. Warming into that hip joint, noticing how this side feels compared to the other. Well, I've got some horrendous noises going on in mine. I hope the microphone's not picking it up. Lots of clanking and carrying on. And then reverse the direction. Let's see if we can find ease of movement here. Noticing what's happening with your pelvis as we're doing this. You'll probably feel a slight roll from side to side. And the next time the knee comes into the chest, let's find that stillness and just work into the foot and ankle. Wriggling all the toes, involving them in this stretch and movement here. and then the opposite direction. And if you've got big woolly socks on like I have now, would be a good time to take them off. And then bringing the right foot back down to the mat and hugging the left knee in. Take a moment here just to totally flatten your spine onto the mat and curl your pelvis very slightly as though you're rolling it in towards the body. That will engage the ab muscles. And then slowly and carefully, let's bring the nose towards the knee. Flex into that left foot. Find your breath here. We don't want to be holding the breath. So just feel that engagement, the warming of the core while we're waiting here. And then slowly lower the head and neck back down. And let's place that left foot down. Now let's work on the right side. So bringing the right knee in towards the chest. Hug it in here. Find that engagement in the core by rolling the pelvis. So we're nice and flat in the spine. And then slowly let's bring the nose up to try and find the knee. Flex into the right foot. Connect with your breath. Really take your attention to your abs here. See if you can squeeze any more activity into that area. And slowly lower. Place the right foot down. Now we're going to stretch the right leg away long and bring the left knee in towards the chest again. So this changes the stretch just a little bit. So once again, just flattening your spine into the mat by very slightly curling your pelvis. It's a bit more difficult here. And then let's bring the nose up to the knee here. Really flex into the right leg here. And then once we've connected with the breath, let's just bring the foot off the mat a few centimeters. So we're driving away with the right heel. We're holding onto the shin of the left leg. We're fully engaged in the core and the right leg. And then slowly lower down. And let's switch. So taking the left foot back to the mat, sliding the leg away long. Take a moment here, maybe to roll from buttock cheek to buttock cheek. Let's just iron out any little niggles. And then bring the right knee in towards the chest. Let's find that engagement, really pressing the spine down onto the mat. Drive away with the left heel, so we're finding that engagement in the hamstring and the thigh on the left side. And then let's bring the nose up to meet the knee. Once we've connected with the breath here, making sure the core is engaged, let's lift the left leg. So this is a lovely isometric exercise for the body here. We've loaded the muscles, but we're not moving them. And then slowly and mindfully placing leg, head and neck back down. From here, just holding, keeping the right knee over the chest, bring your left hand over to take hold of that knee and let's gently roll it over towards the left. So keeping both shoulders down here, only take your knee as far as your shoulders will allow you. This is our first twist of the day, so maybe the knee won't go as far as you know it is able to. You can add a variation here if you like. You can lift and turn your head and face towards the right, just noticing how that feels. Head and neck come back to center. And slowly let's bring the leg back over. Let's bring both knees into the chest here and take a little rock and roll from side to side. Maybe walking one knee at a time. It's a bizarre movement. It kind of, rather than just rocking forward and back, just take one knee at a time. So we're kind of doing this little walking movement while we're here. And then coming to stillness, and let's take the right foot down to the mat here and stretch it away long. Right hand comes to meet left knee, and let's take this spinal twist here and see how it compares to the other side. So nice and slowly, no rush to get here. We're just warming and waking everything up today. Check in with your breath, find that connection. Let's get this unity of mind, body and breath. Just noticing where you're feeling the stretch on this side. Maybe you've managed to get the knee a little bit closer to the ground. Not that the destination is the purpose of this, it's just where we are at today. Connecting with the breath. If you want to take the variation to lift and turn your head towards the left, then now is the time to do that. And then head and neck come back to center. And carefully and mindfully, let's roll that knee back to the center. Let's bring the sole of the left foot to the mat, bring the right foot to meet it. Let's feel for the edge, either edge of the mat with our feet here. So we've got our knees bent, they're nice and wide, and then we're just going to let the knees gently windscreen wiper one way and then the other. So we've got internal rotation in one hip, external rotation in the other. Very good for the brain to think about opposing things going on, a bit like patting your head and rubbing your tummy. So when we're doing different things with different limbs, it's all good. And then coming to stillness here. Sorry, I should have queued this up beforehand. If you can grab your strap, if you've got it handy. If you don't have a strap, but you've got a sock beside you, that will do as well. We're just going to do a few hamstring stretches while we're here. So making your way back down onto the mat. Getting your strap and looping it around the balls of your toes, or if you're very short in your Achilles, if you have difficulty with tension in your Achilles tendon, you might want to hook the strap around the arch of the foot. Sorry, I'm struggling for words. I don't think I've had enough caffeine this morning. But if your Achilles are okay, then the preferred position is around the balls of your feet. And very gently taking hold of both sides of whatever you're using as a strap, or if you haven't got one, even just visualize that you've got one. And gently, let's just take the left leg to where we think it's straight. Now, if you check yourself out on your own monitor, I thought that my leg was straight there. Now, clearly I'm not at right angle, so I'm just going to adjust that. So my leg is in fact straight up with the sole of my foot driving towards the ceiling. So really becoming active in that foot now. Feel the engagement in the back of the hamstring. And both elbows should be resting on the mat. So we're not pulling on the strap for dear life here. We're just introducing a little bit of tension to facilitate the stretch in the hamstring. And now's a good time to check in with what's happening with your pelvis. Are you still square on your sacrum, or have you kind of tilted out of one side to favour the other? Just notice what's going on, and as best you can, try and even up here. And then using as minimal effort as you can, let's just try and encourage the knee a little bit closer to our face. So we're trying to get the leg a little bit closer to the torso, trying to get the toes a little bit closer over the top of our head. Again, these are visualizations more than destinations we're ever likely to achieve, but just working into the stretch of the hamstring here. Elbows are still on the mat. And just connect with your breath until we find that there's a sense of ease in the stretch that we're holding here, that the hamstrings are starting to warm and lengthen. Just noticing how it feels. Think about what's happening with the foot. Is it still active, or has it become a bit passive? And then very gently taking both straps into the left hand. So right hand comes to right hip, and we're going to hold that still where it is. Left elbow comes down to rest on the mat here, and keeping that tension applied, we're slowly and mindfully going to let the left leg come out to the side. So we're exploring the range of movement that we have on the left side. Word of warning, you'll feel your inner thigh muscles engage here. Now you might be super flexible. I'm hypermobile, so I can get my leg all the way down there. But do you know what? If I let go of the strap, it's going to be a heck of a struggle for me to get it back up. So only take your leg. We're trying to build strength here, as much as flexibility. So only take the leg as far as you know you can bring it back without assistance. So I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to let go of the strap. So I'm holding my leg in this position here, and then very slowly I'm going to start to bring it back into the midline. We're going to do this a couple of times so you get a feel of what's normal for you, bringing it back to the midline, perhaps tuning in with what's going on the inner thigh muscles and then the outer hip muscles. So setting yourself up once again, holding both straps with the left hand. Elbow is resting on the mat, pressing into the mat if you like. Anchoring the right hip down. Let's open that hip wide again. But before we move, let's just spike that heel up. So we've got full engagement in this hamstring that's getting nice and warm now. And let's take it out to the side. Maybe it will go a little bit further. Release the strap here and just see how you're doing. Check in with your hips and your sacrum and your pelvis. Make sure you're as square as you can be in this position. And then bring your attention to the ab muscles in the lower abs in particular, either side of the navel, just a bit lower. And then carefully and mindfully, we're going to bring that thigh back up to the center line. Well done, everyone. That looked really good. Right, now, when we're at the top, let's not lose any engagement that we found or lose any of the warmth and length in that hamstring. Let's take the straps into the right hand now. Left arm just comes out to the side to help stabilize you. Let's drive away with that left heel. And very slowly, bearing in mind that you will not have a very large range of movement this side, keeping your right elbow on the mat, let's let the left leg come over towards the right. And you will fairly quickly and soon realize that your IT band and the side of your leg has engaged. We want to stop when we feel that. So as soon as you feel the stretch in the outer side of the hip, then you've gone far enough. There's not a huge range of movement here. And let's just tune into that stretch. Really keeping the engagement in that heel there. Trying to let the back body be expansive here. And then slowly releasing the grip on the strap. Let's bring the leg back to the center line and let everything be passive for a minute. Leave your left leg up there. We're going to bring the right leg up to join it. So you've probably got one leg that feels 6 inches longer than the other now, which is a bit of a weird sensation, but just tune into that for a minute and hook your strap around the balls of your feet. Let's take a moment here, take hold of both straps, and let's enjoy a gentle stretch with both legs in the strap here. So heels are up, toes are facing down towards the face. Both elbows are on the mat. And then softly bend into both knees. And let's release that left foot down to the mat. Now it's time for the right hand side to enjoy this stretch today. So remembering how we started, just having the legs straight up. Check yourself out, see what straight is for you. Check your proprioception, where we think our limbs are and then where they actually are. So driving away with the heel, feel the engagement from the calf behind the knee, all the way up the thigh into the glute. And then with the elbows on the mat, let's tease that thigh a little bit closer to the torso. Toes are still angled down towards the face. Really feeling the stretch in the hamstring on the right here. And just Checking in, does it feel any better or any different to the other side? Maybe not, maybe so. Just noticing the difference, or if there are any areas of tightness that weren't here before. And then taking both straps into the right hand here. Left hand comes to stabilize the left hip, and slowly and mindfully, let's start taking that leg out towards the right. Remembering we've got to get it back under its own steam. So when you get to where you're getting to without the other knee having swung out wide to help you balance here, we still want to be balanced on both sitting bones. Release the tension in the strap, really drive away with that heel, and very slowly let's bring that leg up to center. Taking a moment here, taking the strap once more. Heel goes up towards the ceiling. Let's take that out to the side once more. Nice and slowly release the tension on the strap, really drive away with the heel. And let's tune in with the ab muscles here. Can we bring any more engagement? Can we assist here in this stretch? So all the thigh muscles are hard at work here. We've been using the abductors to get the leg away, and now we're going to use the adductors to slowly bring the leg back up to the center line. So slowly and mindfully, just tuning into which muscles are switching on and switching off here if you can. And then coming up to center, and let's take both straps into the left hand now. So right hand just comes away from the body, remembering that this is quite a small movement. Left elbow stays on the mat, and let's just draw that leg across the body until we feel that engagement. And that's quite far enough. So what we're doing, we're mobilizing. This is a tendon that runs down the side of the leg. We don't need to stretch it. Tendons don't really stretch. They're designed to be stabilizers. So what we want is mobility, but we're not trying to stretch the life out of them. The tendon has got about as much flexibility as a piece of ribbon or the strap that you're using right now when held taut. It's probably got a bit of movement on the bias, but the object of the exercise is to, or the purpose of it is to provide stability rather than flexibility. So this is why we don't want to overdo this one. We just want to feel the engagement. We've switched it on, and now we're slowly going to take it back. And let's take the strap off that foot now and slowly bring the right sole of the foot down to the mat. And bringing the knees and the feet together and taking your hips over to the left side of the mat. Arms come away from the body, and we're going to roll both knees over towards the right. So we're in this bent knee spinal twist here. We're going to lift and turn the head towards the left. And then head and neck come center. Bring both legs up to center. This time scooch both hips over to the right side of the mat. Keep your knees and feet glued. Let's let the knees roll over to the left here. And lift and turn the head in the opposite direction. Just really relax here, let everything go. Head and neck come back to center. Knees carefully come back to center. And we're just going to take a little counter posture for the work we've been doing there. So preparing for bridge pose. So bringing your feet reasonably close to your bum. Just really letting everything spread onto the mat. Palms are face down. We're going to start by just slowly and gently rolling the pelvis up and down. And with each roll, we're going to lift the hips a little bit higher. So we're starting to switch on in the glutes here. Noticing what's happening as we roll through our pelvis. And making sure that both knees are remaining parallel and not spreading out to the side in a most unattractive manner. The next time we raise our hips up, we're going to stay up. So let's just check in with ourselves here, making sure that both knees are driving forwards, feet are firmly flat on the mat. Let's walk the shoulder blades in towards each other so they are squeezed together as they can be. Find a little bit of length in the cervical spine here by gently tucking the chin. And if you can, clasp your hands underneath your bum and just allow a little more lift. So we're really starting to open the front body now. I think it was Victoria who mentioned she feels as though she's been really closed. I think we all have that feeling. If you've spent any time at your desk for a prolonged period of time, or driving, or just all those things that we're crunched over, today we're going to find some antidotes to that. So starting with this nice opening of the front body, opening of the hip flexors, just really tuning in here to the sensations that are present. So hopefully your thighs are feeling nice and warm, your hip flexors at the front of the hips are stretching a little. Let's release the hands here and let them come out to the sides. And slowly, one vertebra at a time, let's start laying the spine back down onto the mat, keeping the knees tracking together. And when your sacrum is back flat on the mat here, let's hug one knee in and then the other, and then take a little roll here. Just noticing how you feel, taking that little roll with one knee at a time, just squashing your back flat. And then the last body opening position we're going to do whilst laying down, we're going to come into fish pose. So we'll start this by coming up with our knees bent, and we're going to lower ourselves down onto our elbows. I'm going to have to take my hair clip out for this. If you've got neck issues or this doesn't feel like a good thing for you to do today, then don't do it. Really listen to your body. What we're going to do is slowly edge ourselves down and come up onto the crown of our head. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're using our forearms to support us here. Palms are down and we're looking behind us. So we're balanced on top of our head. Now, if that's where you get to, that's absolutely fine. If you want to take the variation, stretch one leg away long and then the other leg away long. Now, we often do this pose in Wednesday night wind downs when we're on our bolsters. So this is an unsupported version of this. It's a strength builder and we're opening the front body. So just tuning in with what's present here, perhaps pointing away with the toes, maybe closing the eyes. Really feeling the openness in the chest here. And then slowly and mindfully start to tilt your head forward, and slowly and carefully let's just ease ourselves back down to the mat. And let's find Shavasana. So just let the ankles roll out to the side, palms are facing up. And just connect with your breath for a moment or two here. Just being aware of the prana flowing through the body. Perhaps you can feel tingling in your fingers and toes. Perhaps you're aware of the energy more in where we've just been working the muscles. Just tuning in and having that awareness of what happens within you when you practice yoga. And slowly, carefully coming over onto one side, it doesn't matter which. And we are going to come up to seated. So just taking your time here, been laying down for quite a long time. If you've got a block or a cushion that you want to slide your bum onto, then do. If not, just make yourself really comfortable. We want to be in a comfortable seat here. Have your strap handy. I'm going to be using that. So sitting nice and tall, just finding your posture to start with. Make sure you're not tilted too far forward or you're not rounded in the back. Just find a nice, neutral and intentional sitting position where your hands can gently rest, where your feet are apart, you're not piling one limb on top of another. If it's not comfortable for you to sit cross-legged, then find comfort. This is called Sukhasana or easy pose, and it's meant to be just that. So find something that you can maintain. And taking your strap, in fact, let's not worry about the strap at the moment. Sitting nice and tall and with intention. Let's reach up with our right arm. Left hand comes down to the side, and we're going to take a nice side body stretch here. So really feeling the space between your hips and your ribs and your armpit. And then once you're there, let's turn to look at the ceiling. So we've introduced a twist into this lateral bend, really stretching out, creating some space in between the ribs and the torso. And then let's bring our gaze front again, so we're reaching away just to the side. Make sure you haven't either collapsed into the front or gone too far back. Fingertips are active as we're reaching away. And then slowly let's come central and bring your arm down. Now let's take the left arm up and over. So really reaching away with the fingertips here, drawing both shoulders down. And then let's take our stretch over to the right side. Lots of space between the ribs and the armpits. Beautiful. And then let's turn to look at the ceiling here. Noticing if you've come out of your left hip here at all. Try and weight down into that left hip. Are you still breathing? And then gaze comes forward again, reaching away actively with the fingertips, and then back to center. Right arm comes to left knee, left hand comes behind the bum. Just if you're on a support, just put your hand on that. Really use that left hand for lift and length here. So we're trying to create some length in the spine. And then leading with that left shoulder. Let's pull that left shoulder back. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades together here. And then let's take a look over the left shoulder. So this is all about a twist from the thoracic spine rather than it being a twist from the head and neck. And then slowly back to center. And let's bring left hand to right knee. Right hand comes behind to lift and length. Let's really peel that right shoulder back. So you should feel an engagement in the left shoulder as well. Sitting nice and tall. And the last thing to go is head and neck. Connect with your breath. And slowly back to center. Right, if you're on a block, pop yourself off it. And we are going to do Gomukhasana or cow face. I think we might have touched on this last week actually. This is the funny one where you have, if you bring your left knee underneath, and then we're going to cross the right knee over the top of it and stack one knee over the other. If you can't sit comfortably like this, it is a tricky one, it's a real hip opener, then just extend your left leg forward in front of you and cross your right knee over the top. But you want your shin to be kind of parallel with the top of the mat. I don't know if you can see it very well. I'm wearing the wrong coloured clothing here, I think. So you want your leg to kind of be at right angles. If you can sit with both your legs like that, that's the ideal position. If you can't, we can still get all the benefits by having one leg extended. So if you are set up, it's difficult for me to see. I don't want you to adjust your cameras at all, but I can't actually see how any of you are actually sitting with your legs, so no worries. I will assume that you've found some sort of version of this. But at the moment, with your left leg underneath, you should be feeling quite an engagement in your right hip. So really try and bring the sense that you are weighting down in that hip that will want to lift here. And then bringing your right hand up, let's drop the palm down between the shoulder blades. So we've got our elbows going straight up here. And then with our left hand, we're going to take it behind our back. And even if it's just a visualization thing, stretch both sets of fingertips towards each other. Or you can use your strap or a sock if you've got one to hand, and you can gently apply some pressure and just ease that elbow up towards the ceiling. So what we're aiming for is to imagine that we've clasped both hands behind our back. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, maybe you're using your strap, and that's fine. So we're getting a good old stretch in the tricep, but more importantly, we're distracting ourselves from what's going on in the hips down below. So just taking a moment there. And then slowly unraveling, stretch both legs out in front, give them a pat. And then we're going to do the other side. So if you had one leg out straight, let's straighten the other one. If you were stacking your legs, let's restack, but the other way around. So again, finding your posture here, sitting nice and tall, trying to weight down into both hips. This time we're going to take the left arm up and drop the palm down and bring the right hand around. This is when it becomes apparent that you have got one side that is a lot longer than the other. So just rejoice in that, in the realization. Perhaps the fingertips are nowhere near, perhaps you're using your strap, it's all good. It's just about creating this shape. We've got energy flowing here, there and everywhere. Lots of opposing things going on. And hopefully you can feel the joy in your hips at the moment. So a really nice warming stretch here. And then let's just release the arms. Let's release the legs. Bring both legs out in front. Give them a good old pat down. Now, if you're very tight in your hamstrings, you know, if you are generally very tight in your hamstrings, you might find it easier to use your strap here. If you can work without the strap, that would be good, but it's not cheating if you do use the strap. It's all about you creating the best version of this posture that you can for your body today. And it does vary from day to day. So first of all, what we want to do is find our posture. And if that means that you need to sit on the edge of your mat curled up, then do, or if you need to pop a blanket behind you just to allow the hips for you to be over the front of your sitting bones. If, like me, you've got a fleshy bum, you might just want to move the flesh out of the way so you are balanced on your sitting bones and you've got a sense of being nice and upright. So tucking the chin here, activating both feet so toes are towards the body. Just going to sit in Dandasana for a moment, staff pose. So palms come down beside the thighs. This is when you realise you've either got quite long arms or quite short arms. I've got quite short arms. It would be quite difficult for me to lift myself up, my body weight out from here. Just connecting with the breath, again, feeling the activity going on in the hamstrings here. Now bringing the hands to your shins and without losing any of your posture here. So we're not starting to round here. What we're doing, we're bringing our nose beyond our toes. So we're just decreasing the angle at our hips as we come forward. So we're still nice and long in the spine. Chin is slightly tucked. And we're going to sit here for a breath or two, just enjoying the stretch on the hamstrings. And then let's take the hands a little bit further forward. So imagine that you're sticking your bum out here, so you're really nice and long in the hamstrings that go into the glutes. A lot of tension and activity there. And then if by reaching a centimetre further forward you've started to fold, that's fine. What we're going to do is then really fold into this. So rounding into the shoulders here, holding wherever you're at. So it might be on your shins, it might be on your ankles, Might be on the toes. Let's just connect with the breath here. So our belly is now towards our thighs. Maybe it's resting on the thighs. We're just going to connect with the breath as the body slowly lengthens into this posture. So nose is pointing directly down towards knees. With the next exhale, see if you can just come forward a tiny bit more. Maybe your forearms are now on the mat. Maybe not. We don't want anything to hurt here. I want you to find your edge and then come back this side of it. Don't go beyond your edge. No point, no need. We're just seeing where we're at today. Connecting with the breath is the most important thing you can do while we're in this position. It's giving the parasympathetic nervous system all the signals that your body is not under duress at the moment, that this is a restful pose, that we're lengthening, we're strengthening. Just seeing if you can reach a little bit further forward with your fingertips to either take hold of your ankle or the sides of your feet. If you can't, that's not where you're at today. Just stay where you are, connecting with your breath. If you can take hold of your feet, do so. Drawing the elbows down, drawing the head towards your knees. Feel the glorious stretch in the backs of your legs and in your back muscles. If this does not feel like a good stretch, then it's not a good stretch for you. Just come out of it. And then slowly and mindfully preparing to come out of the pose. Let's start to retrace our steps. So the first thing we do is to start increasing the angle between our torsos and our thighs. So reaching away long with the tops of our heads here. Then sliding our hands back. And slowly coming up to being seated and upright again. Ooh. Now just a little counter pose, coming back onto one elbow and then the other elbow. Just taking a nice stretch here. Lean back as though we're going to do fish, but we're not going to. So we're just on our elbows, stretching back, let the shoulders go, let the throat be long and soft. And slowly, 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 let's come all the way back up and find our way onto all fours. Oh, that was quite intense in the hamstrings, wasn't it? Or hopefully it was. Let me get my mop out of the way again. So coming to all fours here, finding your tabletop or your neutral position. So wrists are beneath shoulders, knees are beneath hips. Just take a little sway from side to side here. Explore what might feel nice for your body. Head and neck, just go one way and then the other. And let's just start by taking an angry cat pose. So fingertips are spread wide, and let's start pushing the ground away from us as we curl right in and create space between the shoulders here. Really push away, push away, push away. And then chin starts to come forward as the belly drops. Hips go high. Really feel the abdominal muscles here. So we're still pushing the mat away quite actively here. Chin comes up. Once more in. So slowly, slowly, slowly feel the transition as we go from the back muscles to the front. Lots of space in the shoulder blades here, very active in the arms. Arms are straight, we're pushing the mat away. And then belly drops, chin comes up and forward. Push the mat away once more and come to neutral. Right, from here, I want you to dial your left hand out with your fingertips towards your body, and then dial your right hand out with fingertips towards the body. So we are we are like, it doesn't matter where I go, it's not very clear, but your fingertips are in towards the body. And then what I want you to do is shuffle your knees back and walk away from them until you feel that stretch into the medial nerve in your wrist. So this isn't a particularly comfortable stretch, but it's very, very efficient. So we're just going to stay here for a couple of breaths. And then slowly we're going to walk our knees back forward again. Coming into Vajrasana. Let's just wind the wrists around here. Take a bit of relief. And then the other way. Let's come back to our hands. This time turn the fingertips so they face each other. So we're looking down between our fingers. We're pushing away as though we're doing cat pose. And once again, we're going to walk our knees away until we feel the tension in our wrists. If we've been sitting doing a lot of work at the computer, this is a great pose to do just to loosen off. And then let's walk our body weight forward a little bit and see how it feels if we go the other way. So we're actually hanging our body weight over. So we're working both sides of the wrists. And this time we're going to tuck our toes and ease ourselves back here. So we're on our toes, just stretching out the bottom of the feet. Let's bring the palms together, clasp the fingers, and keeping the palms together, let's just do this little funky wrist roll. So really working into the wrists, and then reverse the direction if you can. I can't. I don't know why I can't do it this way, but I can't. And then unclasp the fingers and move the front finger. This will feel all wrong. So you've got the other index finger in front now, the other thumb in front, and we're going to do that again. So we're just challenging how we always set our bodies up. Like we have a favourite way to cross our legs. Reverse the direction. And then let's just wiggle out. And then sitting here, I hope you're all okay on your toes still. We're stretching out the plantar fascia underneath our feet. If you need to take a break, then do come off. But if you can tolerate this, then do. Let's reach away long with our left hand here. Imagine that you're pushing someone away, so much so that you are actually rotating into the push. So we're no longer square on. We've started to go slightly off to the right. Then we're going to dial that hand all the way down. We're going to reach and we're going to pull back on the little finger, ring finger, middle finger, index finger. And then we're just going to hold it there on the thumb because I know it's really, really horrible and it's doing you good. And then release. Ooh. Now let's stretch away long with the right arm. Get that rotation there. So we're pushing away. Dial the fingertips down towards the mat. So arm is very active, and then we're going to pull into the little finger, ring finger, index finger. One is drawn up. I did do them all. And then the thumb, we're going to hold it there with the thumb, really push away with the palm of that hand, and then release. So imagine you're playing the piano now, just wriggle through all the digits. And let's just come now into all fours. Untuck the toes here, perhaps pat the backs of the feet on the mat. Give them a bit of a break. And we're going to go straight into thread the needle. So we're going to go right side first. So right arm loops underneath the left arm here. We slowly bring the right side of our body down to the mat. Hips are high. We're going to come up onto the left fingertips. And I think we're all going to take the variation today, unless you've got an issue in your shoulders that means they're a bit tight today. But we're going to raise the left hand straight up. And we're going to look at the palm. So we've got this lovely twist. We're opening into the side body and the front body here. And then we're going to drop, we're going to turn the hand round so it's facing the back of the room. We're going to drop it behind our bums. We're going to try and grab the right thigh. So we're getting even more of a twist here, even more of an opening in the front body. If it's a twist too far, go back to the last thing you did that was comfortable, but where you were still working. So hopefully you've got the left shoulder peeled back now. Connect with your breath. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And then slowly let's bring the arm back up, back down to the mat. Press into the mat as we lift ourselves up, and just take a moment here of any movement that feels nice. And then let's go straight over to the other side. So left arm comes under right, setting yourself up here. When you're there, we're going to raise the right palm up. We're going to glance in the general direction of the palm, and then we're going to bring the arm behind the back and grab our left thigh. So we're really opening in the right shoulder here. And then let's prepare to come out of the pose. Arm straightens, comes down to the mat, supports us all the way up to all fours. Whew. Right, from here, just setting yourself up nice, and perhaps setting yourself up nicely, and just walking your knees back a little bit further than they would be for cat and cow. We're going to push ourselves towards child's pose here. So really active in the fingertips, pushing away so that we feel the engagement along our the outside edge of our shoulders and armpits here, looking down at the mat. And then we're going to bring the body weight forward into hanging cobra. So just for a moment here, we're not staying in either position, we're just moving between the two. We're opening out in the front body and the shoulders. Let's really open those hip flexors here. So just taking a moment to hang here and then back again. One more time forward. So really just thinking about your shoulders here. Can you draw your shoulders down your back anymore? Are you supporting the weight of your upper body in a nice straight line from your shoulders to your wrists? Gaze is just beyond the top of your mat. See if you can let go of any tension that might be in your buttock muscles or your lower back. If this doesn't feel good for your lower back, then please come out of it. Tune into the stretch in the front body and the abs. And then let's just tuck the toes here and slowly make our way into downward facing dog. So it's the first dog of the day. Let's have our knees really bent here. Really, really bent. And bring our attention to our hands, spreading the fingertips wide, pushing the mat away as we send our chest back towards our thighs. Really active in the shoulders, let the shoulders roll down and out, let the elbow creases face each other. Let's take our attention into the hips, sending the hips really high, looking between the feet. Keep a nice generous bend in the legs here. And think about that long line of energy between the crown of your head and your tail. So make sure you can nod yes and shake no. And now slowly drawing our feet towards each other in the center of the mat here. We are going to twizzle both toes towards the left side of the mat, and we're going to push actively into the left hand. So we've got a twist going on here. We're really opening in the side body. Both feet are on the mat. Legs are straight, and then back to center again. And then we're going to twizzle around on the balls of our feet so the toes face the right side. Maybe both heels are up. Better if they're down, if you can get them down. And then we're going to push actively into the right hand. So we're getting this twist going on here. And then slowly back to center. And let's find our downward facing dog again. Just take a moment to set yourself up. Knees are still bent a little bit. You don't have to have your heels on the ground. It's not the law. In fact, I think you can set yourself up for a better dog if you haven't got your heels on the ground. Think about everything else first. Your hips, your ribs, your tummy sucked in. Then from here, we're going to raise the left leg up. So we're in three-legged dog. Square off the hips by dialing the toes over towards the right. And then bend into the knee and let that left hip open. So we're looking under the left armpit here. Just let gravity do its bit with that leg. The right foot might be flat on the mat now, might not be. Find your comfort. Push into both hands evenly here. So we're really opening in the hips. And then slowly let's straighten that left leg. And bring it all the way forward, bringing that knee in all the way forward here, and let's step it up and through. So just adjusting here, taking the right leg away long, lowering the knee, but keeping the toes tucked here. So we're in this nice low lunge here, just taking a moment, see how you feel. And then let's bring the left hand inside the left foot and wriggle the left foot to the outside edge of the mat. So we're now in lizard pose. If this is not particularly comfortable for you, untuck the back foot and just come out of the posture a little bit. If you can hold this nicely, then do. So we have a right angle here, so we're weight bearing into our shin. And let's just bring the left hand to the left knee, pushing into the right hand now. Let's look over our left shoulder. So we're really intensifying this stretch here. We've warmed everything up nicely today. Hips are nice and warm. Hamstrings are warm. The hip flexors have had a good old stretch. So just taking a moment here to see how that feels. The deliciousness of this beautiful open posture. I love lizard. And if it's in your practice, if you want to take the variation, you can come down to forearms here. Give it a whirl. If it's too far, I'm not going to do it today. This is far enough for me. I'm happy supporting myself, just pushing out of my palms. We're just going to take a few more breaths here. So we're looking down just beyond our fingertips. And then if you haven't got your toes tucked, if you're in a variation, come back to your hands, tucking the back toes if they're not tucked. We're going to raise that back leg up, so we're in a long lunge here, and we're slowly going to take the left leg back to join it in downward facing dog. So you might want to walk the dog here, just ease out any tension. We've got this situation again where we've got one leg longer than the other after that big stretch. And then coming to stillness, bringing the right foot slightly towards the middle of the mat. Let's take the left leg, oh, we've done the left leg, haven't we? Let's take the right leg up high this time. Square off the hips by dialing the toes over towards the left-hand side. And then let's bend at the knee and let gravity take the sole of the foot over towards the floor on the left-hand side. And then you can look under the right armpit. So really pushing away out of this. We're getting a lovely long stretch in the left hamstring, very open in the right hip. And then slowly let's bring the legs straight, looking between our hands, which is where we're going to go. As we start to come up onto the toes of the left foot, let's draw the right knee in, and we're going to step through and place the foot. And we're going to slide the back foot back, lower the knee, keeping the toes tucked here so that we're ready to go into lizard on this side. So shuffling the right foot over to the right side of the mat. Right hand comes inside the right foot. Right leg is at a right angle. And we are set up. Let me do it this way on, just in case it helps. So right shoulder is inside right knee here. And just connecting with your breath. If you need to untuck your back toes and come out of this just a little, then do. But otherwise, just marvel at this shape that your body's able to get you into, the stretching of the hip flexor, the stretching of the glute. If you want to take the variation where you come down on forearms, you might want to try it on this side. You might find that you're more open on this side. Again, I'm going to stay here today. This is better for me. And then we're going to take the right hand to the right knee and just look over our right shoulder here. So really pushing away out of the left hand, nice and strong. So we're creating lots of space between the shoulder and the left ear. So looking all the way behind and slowly coming back to center. Hands come down. If you're in the variation, you might want to come out of it now. And then tucking the toes of the back foot, raising up onto that leg, and we're slowly going to come round. I've got myself in a bit of a pickle here now. Back to downward facing dog. And just take whatever movement in downward facing dog you would like, perhaps bending generously into the knees, playing with what's going on in your shoulders, looking back between your knees. And then slowly, let's lower to both knees and take extended child's pose. In fact, bring the big toes together, take your knees wide. Let's take a wide-legged version of child's pose. Forehead comes down to the mat. Active in the arms here, really stretching the way with the fingertips. And let's walk the right fingertips over to the left-hand side of the mat. You might need to move your head as well. So right palm comes on top of left palm, and we're stretching through the right side of the body. And then walking the hands through center until they both come to rest on the right side of the mat. Feeling the stretch down the right side, into the shoulder, into the ribs, into the hip. And then slowly back to center and be totally passive here. Just relax, let your forearms relax. Relax onto your forehead if that's comfortable. Or take child's pose with your hands touching your feet. Entirely your choice. Just taking a moment here. And then slowly just walking the hands in towards the body. Bringing the knees back into center. And coming now into a high kneeling position. You might want to kneel on a blanket if you've got knobbly knees that feel uncomfortable when you're in a kneeling position. And we're going to tuck our toes again, but we're not going to be sitting on our heels, so it won't be quite so uncomfortable. So tucking the toes, making sure that every toe is making contact with the mat here. And we're going to start just by turning our upper body and reaching behind for the left heel with our left fingertips. So we're in this twist here. Once we're here, we're going to raise the right arm up and over, and we're going to turn a little bit more. So we've got all sorts of things going on in this lovely version of camel. We're in a twist, we're in a back bend, our hip flexors are getting a good stretch, creating lots of space in the body. Really reach away long with the fingertips. And then slowly the arm comes down. Slowly we release the heel. Slowly we come back to center. Now let's have a go on the other side. So let's take the rib cage round first and then reach back towards our heels. If you can't reach your heels, you don't have to. It doesn't matter if you've got a block or a cushion or something that you could pop on top where you can more easily touch. It just gives you an idea of where you're headed. So if we're touching the heels, touch them. If you're not quite there, get to where you're getting to. And then we're going to reach up and overhead and look over the right shoulder here. So really active in the fingertips, pushing the hips forward if you're managing to rest your fingertips on your heels. Slowly, let's bring that outstretched arm down and let's bring ourselves back to center. Let's take a moment. Feet a pat. We're in the home stretch now. It's really blanket time. Tucking the toes once more. Let's come back up. I'm sure you know what's coming. If you need a blanket or a block or something behind you, take that now. If not, we're going to take left fingertips to heels, right fingertips to heels. Just take a moment here to really pull your shoulder blades together here. And then let's look up at the ceiling. And as best you can, really try and release here. So we've got our thighs and our hip flexors in a beautiful stretch. If this is just too intense for you, please just grab something that makes makes the pose doable, where you're still in this sort of position, but it's not quite so intense. It's so beneficial. We are opening so much of the front body here, all these counter postures to the positions we spend much of our working day in. And let's just see if we can release in the jaw and the throat. And slowly, slowly, slowly coming back to upright, removing your support, untucking your toes. And let's take just normal child's pose. So head comes down to the mat, fingertips come round to reach the feet, shoulders really open here, shoulders, tops of the arms are very heavy. And let's just connect with the breath here. And then slowly and mindfully, hands come forward to support ourselves as we lift ourselves up and come down onto our backs for our Shavasana. So getting your snuggly socks on and your blanket if you want it, make yourselves really nice and warm and comfy. And let's come down to Shavasana. Just closing the eyes, letting the ankles roll out unless you've decided to take a different position for Shavasana. It's your Shavasana, you do it how you like, but make like a corpse. So I'm going to lay in constructed rest with my knees knocking together. Palms are upturned in a gesture of acceptance. And let's just bring our attention and our awareness back within to our breath. Becoming aware of the prana moving through the body as your mind and body assimilate the practice that we've just done together. I'm hoping that you're feeling as though you've got longer legs, more space in the upper body, space to breathe. So very slightly deepening the breath, bringing your awareness to your fingers and toes, rubbing your fingertips over the top of your thumb, introducing a little movement to your body, maybe circling into the wrists and ankles. And then bringing one knee in towards the chest and the other. And taking a moment here for a little rock and roll. And then rolling over to rest on your right hand side for just a few breaths here. And then keeping the eyes closed, slowly bringing yourself up to a seated position. Nice and carefully and slowly and gently. Let's bring the hands to meet at heart center here. And bowing the head towards the fingertips, let's take a moment of gratitude for our practice this morning, the time that we set aside for it. And if you did have a sankalpa for your practice today, now's the time to recall it and just sit with that for a moment. Seeing if all the qualities we managed to nurture whilst we were on our mat, hopefully we can take them off the mat and into our day today. But before we go, I just want to say thank you for your practice today, for the energy that we've shared, even though we are remote. And I hope you had at least a few moments of clarity in your practice today where you were truly able to appreciate how amazing your body is. Namaste.